Welcome back to Library Chess YouTube channel. In today's class we'll be learning how to make this simple pencil skirt with flounce detail on the sides. It's a pencil skirt and it has flounce details on both sides. It's very beginner friendly and it's simple to make. If this is what you like to learn, kindly stay tuned to the end of this tutorial. Thank you. Okay, so to make this skirt I'll be using this fabric. This fabric feels like, I think, scuba or crepe. It's very stretchy, not too much, but it's fairly stretchy, and that is what I'll be using to draft this. Okay, so this is the stretchy part, so I'll be folding it with this stretchy part, and I already have my basic skirt block drafted, so I'm just going to be placing it on it. So I'll be folding this into four. I'll be cutting the front and back together, and because this is a stretchy fabric, it's not going to be having any zipper allowance, so I'm just going to be bringing the front block and then I'll fold it into four, place it on it and use it to cut it out. Okay, so I folded my fabric into four, 1 2 3 4, like this, and I'm using the stretchy part, so I don't need to add a zipper allowance to this. And then I'm just going to place my skirt block on it. I'm going to hold this with something, and I'm just going to be increasing the length of the skirt a bit, and then I'll just cut it out. So it's that simple. Once you have your basic skirt block already, it becomes easy for you to do this. And there's already a tutorial on how to draft a basic skirt block on the channel, so if you don't know how to, you may want to check that out. So I'll be adding 2 inches to what I have here. Okay, and then I'm going to cut this out. Okay, so you can see how I just added it from my, what I have here is around 24.5, so I added 2 inches to it to make it 26.5. So I just placed my tape rule and then measure 2 inches to complete that measurement. Now I'm going in with my scissors and then I'm going to cut this out. So I have allowance added to this pattern already, so I'm not going to be adding any extra allowance to it, and then I'm just going to cut what I have on this paper. Okay, so I just realized this pattern has a dart, and like I said, this is a stretchy fabric. I don't need a dart for this, it's very stretchy, so I'm just going to be closing this dart, and then I'm going to reshape my cutting. Okay, I don't need that dart because the fabric is stretchy, so I'm closing the dart and then I'm cutting it off. Okay, so this is cut now, and this is my basic skirt. The front and the back same, because there is no zipper on this. Okay, so now the next thing is for us to form the flounce at the sides of the skirt. So I'll be attaching the flounce before I close up the skirt so that it will make it easier for me. So to do this now, I'm going to be notching my center fold for my front and back, so that it will assist me on how I'm going to be placing this. So I'm just going to be drawing the style line for us on the pattern so that we can see it better, because this is a dark colored fabric. Okay, so for the flounce, as you can see, the flounce starts from the hemline and it goes all the way up. So on the hemline area here, at the center front, remember this is the center front, I'll be marking 4 inches inwards, like this, 4 inches inwards, and then from there I'm going to be connecting it in a diagonal way to the hip area, because that is where my flounce is going to stop. But if you want it higher, you can just take it up by maybe 1 inches or 1 inch or 1.5 inches. Okay, so from there now I'll take my ruler now and then I'm going to connect this, okay, like this. So I know my flounce is going to go through that line. So now I'll just take my tape rule, and then I'm going to take this measurement, okay. So the measurement that I have here, this is around 18.5 inches. It's going to go from front all the way to the back. So that's 18.5 plus 18.5, and that is going to give me around 37 inches. That is what I'm going to be using as circumference. So keep this in mind, 37 inches as circumference for my flare, okay. But remember, this is actually not the same length as the skirt, so I'm going to be measuring this on the skirt also the same way I did it. I'll go in by 4 inches, and then I'm going to connect it to the hip area and measure it round. I just measured it here so that we can see it clearly, okay. So here I'm just going to take one of the skirts now, since they are both the same. I'll put it on fold, and then I'll go inwards by 4 inches. Okay, so I'm putting it on fold here. Then here I'm going to go inwards by 4 inches, and I'll mark that with my chalk. So this is 4 inches here, and then I'll note where my hip line is. I'm going to place my pattern on it, and then note my hip line. And then note that this is not going to be entering into your seam allowance, because like I said before, we are going to actually join this skirt together because it's continuous. It doesn't have any cut. So I'll remove my seam allowance, and then I'm going to connect it in a straight form like this. So now I'll measure what I have there, and then I'll use that to form a circumference of my flare. Okay, so I hope this is clear enough. So now I'll take my tape rule now and measure this, and I have around 21 inches. Okay, so 21 inches plus 21 inches is going to give me 42 inches. So 42 inches is going to be the circumference of my flare. So to get this circumference, I'm using a full circle flare. 42 inches divided by 6.28. So that measurement gave me a radius of 6.5 inches. So I folded my fabric into 4 now. I folded it into 2 first, then I later folded it into 4. So on the radius part here, I'm going to measure 6.5 inches round, and the length of this flounce is going to be 5 inches. So that's for me. If you want it more than that or lesser, you just need to reduce it. So this is my circumference now, 6.5. Then from there I'm going to be measuring 5 inches. So you can add ½ inch allowance for it for sewing and also a minute. So I'm adding like I'm cutting like 5.5 inches now, and then I'll be using a pinking shear scissors. Remember I said this is like a scuba fabric, so I'm using pinking shears, but I think 5 inches is okay. I don't want it too long. So with the allowance, I'm making everything 5 inches. But like I said, you can make it as long as you want. So I've marked that. So I'll be using these pinky shear scissors, also known as zigzag scissors, to give it a clean finish at the hem line. So I'm using these scissors to cut it out, and then I'm going to cut another one for the other side of the skirt. So you can see the finish is giving it like a zigzag effect there. Okay. Now I'll just take this now and use it to cut another one, and then I'm just going to open up one side of the flounce like this. But let me just explain what it's going to look like for us. So I've gone ahead to sew my skirt with the 1 inch allowance that I left. So I use this colored thread so that we can see it very well. I hope we can see this. So I just sew it like that. Then I'm going to turn it to the right side. So on the right side I already marked where my flounce is going to go through. So using my chalk now, I've marked that line, and like I said, it's going to come from front all the way to the back. So now I'll go to the sewing machine. Now I'll take the flounce, and then I'm going to place the flounce like this. So the small part here, the radius part, I'm going to place it on it like this, and then I'm going to sew it. So by the time I sew it, it's going to fall to the other side like this. I hope you understand that. So I'll take this to the machine now and then sew it all the way around. I'll do the same thing for the two sides. So I'm sewing my flounce like this. You can take some pleatings here if you want it really fluffy again, and then you don't have to cut your flounce like a circle, just like I did, like a 360-degree flare. So you can you can actually cut it like you cut your normal flounce, that like the regular spiral flounce. Sorry, so I already have a tutorial on how to do that on the channel, so it depends on the one that you wish to go for. Okay, so now I've sewn the flounce. Now as you can see, I hope you can see the lines. I just followed the path that I already created there all the way to the back part like that. So this is my flounce, and this is really looking beautiful. It's very, very beautiful. So I'm just going to take this to the mannequin now, so that we'll see what it looks like on the mannequin. So for this hemline here, you can just add a band or just fold it in and then sew. So I think I'm going to be making this a bandlet, and then I'm going to hem it on the hemline also. So this is our skirt. You can see it's a very basic, simple pencil skirt, and this is the flounce on both sides of the skirt. So it just comes from the front and then go through the hip and backward. And like I said in the video, you can either make your skirt to be on your hip side, or the flounce to stop on the hip side, or you can make it go upward or downward depending on your preference. This is a very simple skirt to make, and it is beginner friendly. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you enjoyed it, let us know in the comment section. Like, comment and subscribe to our channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.